It's time to pick a side. The Border War is on the air with BG and 10. Welcome into the Border War for March the 7th. This is BG. I'm here with Tan Man. You can follow us on Twitter at the Border War. You can follow me at BG_Border War and Tan Man at TanMan3264. Thank you for listening today. Our email is carolinaborderwar@gmail.com. Like and download us through the Spreaker app. You can also find us on YouTube, SoundCloud, Facebook, and of course, Twitter. Be sure to retweet, reshare, like, comment, argue, interact in any way, shape, or form.
Tie people down, lock them in a room, make them listen to the show.
If you make them listen 17, 18 weeks in a row, they'll probably start liking it. That's my theory. All right, so we're going to get started today. Let's just admit it was a rough weekend for both of us. Both of us lost to our arch rivals in the sport that we are best at.
Yeah.
And so, on that somber note, we will get started in the world of college basketball.
Yeah.
With the big one.
We skipped the whole week, man.
Oh, I'm sorry, because you didn't put it on the
You're
outlet. No. Look, there's a 1, there's a 2.
Clearly unqualified for this.
Catch us up in the
clearly unqualified.
Week in
sport. No wonder the show is in flames right now. Week in sport, the final AP poll of the regular season is out. Virginia is a unanimous number 1, followed by Villanova, Xavier, Michigan State, and Duke. North Carolina comes in at 12. Clemson's 19. The highest ranked SEC team is Tennessee at number 13. North Carolina, my Tar Heels, they fell in a tough one at Cameron, 74-64 to Duke. They opened ACC tournament play tonight as a unbelievable 6th seed. I still haven't wrapped my head around how that happened, but they are the 6th seed in the ACC tournament. They will take on 11th seeded Syracuse. Clemson loses to Syracuse this past weekend to close their year. They'll get the winner of the game going on right now between Boston College and NC State. The Tigers earned the 4th seed and the double bye in the ACC tournament as they're one of 4 teams that tied for 3rd in the conference. BG, your Gamecocks story of the year, they drop another close one. This time on the road at Auburn to finish the season.
It's not the blowout both of us thought it would be.
They really haven't been blown out in a few weeks now, really. They're playing really good, but unfortunately for them, LSU got a surprise win over Mississippi State, so that kept the Gamecocks in that bottom 4. They will be the 12th seed. They'll get Ole Miss tonight. They played the Rebels once.
They opened up the 11th seed, actually.
I think they finished in a tie for like 10th or something.
Oh, okay.
But they're technically the 12th seed.
I got you.
But they take on Ole Miss. They played the Rebels once to open up SEC play with losing 74-69. Player of the Year awards are in. You called it. No surprise, really. I was hoping against hope. Marvin Bagley's your ACC Player of the Year. The Tar Heels with 2 first-teamers, though, as Joe Barry and Luke May make it. Luke May voted the most improved player. Clemson's Marquise Reed is second team. Theo Pinson from North Carolina and the Tigers' Gabe DeVoe are an honorable mention. And Elijah Thomas from the Tigers is on the all-defensive team. Grant Williams is the SEC Player of the Year from Tennessee. Chris Silva racked up some awards. He's a first-team All-SEC, first-team All-Defenses, and he shared All-Defensive Player of the Year honors with Texas A&M's Robert Williams. So a bright spot there for the Gamecocks. In college baseball, BG's world, the Gamecocks lose 4 out of 5, including 2 this past weekend to Clemson in a much closer than it looked like just on paper series. The Tar Heels, they've won 4 straight. They sweep Liberty by scoring 36 runs in that series, 46 in their 4-game win streak. The Hornets, and it's time to cut off the lights. How the old song go? Turn off the lights. The party's over.
Yeah.
They lose 4 all to current playoff teams.
Felt like it was sort of inevitable. Yeah, they were riding high for a while there, but it felt like rapidly deflating balloon even before.
And if there was any air left in the balloon, it is out now.
It's over.
They get the home versus the Nets on Thursday, home versus the Suns on Saturday, going to New Orleans next Tuesday. 17 games left.
It's almost it's virtually
seven
impossible
playoff teams
for them.
on that, but they are not catching in that 8th seed. And finally, Phil Mickelson wins the WGC Mexico Championship in a playoff with Justin Thomas at 16 under. It's his first win, Lefty's first win since the 2013 British Open.
Phil's got to be pushing 50.
He's in his mid to late 40s,
Mid to
46,
late 40s,
40s, somewhere around there.
Yeah, he's definitely.
He's a few years older than Tiger. Tiger's 40, 41, so.
Phil's been around.
Yeah.
And unlike Tiger, I mean, he's.
Well, his game's peaking, though.
Oh, sure.
Right around the corner from Augusta,
Sure.
place he's won at 3 times. And a couple of other things after the put all this together. Michael Bennett's been traded
I
to
saw
Philadelphia.
that right before the show started.
So Michael Bennett from the Seahawks, a
5th-round pick and a wide receiver.
So Bennett's going to Philadelphia, and in sad news, longtime voice of the Tar Heels,
I
Woody
saw that,
Durham. Woody Durham's passed away, so rest in peace, Woody. He was one of the best.
Maybe now we can stop sharing that really fake picture of Bennett burning an American flag in the Seahawks locker room.
No, that
Just
happened.
that. No, please stop. That has been debunked. So
No.
don't. Okay.
What are you talking about?
The Earth is round. Michael Bennett did not burn an American flag in front of a cheering Pete Carroll.
Yes, he did.
No.
Yes, he did.
He did not.
You're wrong.
You're not helping anything.
Whatever.
That happened, man.
It did not happen.
Wrap your head around it. Anyway, he's a bum.
Didn't happen.
Yes, it did.
Basketball. You guys lost to Duke. What a shocker.
Yeah.
10 points. Wasn't even close.
Really?
Well,
Did
you want to start the stuff about the American flag, man.
You want to talk about fake things. You want to talk about real things or not?
Yes.
All right, let's talk about real things.
You lost to Duke.
We did lose to Duke.
I'm sure in your mind you didn't.
Shouldn't have.
I told you were going to. I don't know why that wasn't good enough.
You say lots of things, but very few of them come true. Why should I have believed you?
This particular one did.
This? Yeah, they did. First, it was a tale of two halves, really. The first half, I don't think we didn't really look great. We looked kind of good enough. Marvin Bagley, I think, had 3 points at halftime.
But that scares me.
Yeah.
That's what I don't like.
Because you knew that, man, the pendulum's going to swing back the other way.
I know there have been a couple of times, especially early this
way.
year, when I would text you and say, man, we're only down by 4 points and Silva's got 1 bucket. We're going to win this game. I mean, because that's how it felt. You're not going to shut Bagley down for a whole football basketball game.
Had 3 at halftime. He winds up with 21. He went on about an 8-minute stretch there where he was just an unbelievable monster. But if you break it down, I mean, you look at the score. Joe Barry had a terrible night. He was 0 for 7 from 3.
Was it just a terrible night? Do you think Duke played good? We talked about Duke's defense, and you didn't like the zone that they were playing.
I think it was. I think it was just a terrible night from our end.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but this is what I've been saying, right? That when Barry goes cold,
look,
you guys don't have any points in you.
Oh no, man, we have points in us.
64 of them.
We just didn't have them Saturday night. Go back and watch the second half. Really watch the whole game. Duke's getting a lot of credit for this unbelievable zone defense. Watch what we were doing. Theo Pinson was kind of setting up shop on the free throw line. We'd get the ball into Pinson there at the free throw line. He would kick it back out. We settled for a lot of threes. What did we shoot? 31 threes on the night.
Yeah.
The first game, second half of the first game, we had a lot of success driving to the basket, getting into guys, getting some foul calls. We only shot 5 free throws. I thought it was 4. We got 5 free throws the whole game, which means we're settling for long jump shots, long threes. We're settling for 10-foot jump shots.
But none of that's because of Duke's defense?
I think if we had quit settling for 12-foot jump shots, which nobody can make anymore, because everybody wants to stand outside the arc and fire threes as evidence.
A mid-level jump shot is a uniquely
nobody
straight.
Nobody can make them anymore.
You're right.
And that's what we did. We settled for 12-foot jump shots all night long instead of being aggressive. Joe Barry came out and said it after the game. I played scared. That was his quote. Which is shocking from a senior. But it's the worst game he's played.
Okay,
since
well,
he's a freshman.
but is he okay? Let me just ask you this though.
If we play
is that a frustrated comment from? I mean, he's a senior, but still a young guy. I don't think he was really scared.
No.
I mean, I'm not trying to school you on basketball, but you know this. When you've got a sort of rotating interior zone defense, somebody has to penetrate it. Somebody has to take it inside.
Yeah, I just
to break it up. And I'm just looking at the number of 3 points here, man. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. We settled for threes, and then the deal with Bagley is when we play them, we don't have anyone big enough, skilled enough to match up with him. Theo Pinson found himself down there matched up with him a lot, and so you're not going to be able to deny Bagley the ball,
right?
So what you have to do is we said that first game, and they hammered it home hard in the first game. You've got to deny that pass and defend that pass from the passer. And if that guy's got a nice look and he's able to just dump it down in there to Marvin Bagley, there's nothing we can do. And we didn't pressure the ball. They were getting whatever they wanted to. Rebounding wise, they killed us in the second half. The first game we played, it was a team rebounding effort. Everybody was coming from everywhere to get rebounds. Last Saturday night, it was stand out there, jack up three, long threes, make long rebounds. Nobody's crashing the board. I mean, it was just, it was a bad night. It was a bad night.
Okay, so I'm assuming that you think in a neutral gym with, let's just say no fans, just an empty gym.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me what the score of a third North Carolina Duke game is if it happens right now. Like these two games happened.
75-70. I think we'll play again Friday night. I'm not worried about playing them at all. Not at all. Let's lace them up today. Duke is famous for not really having a bench. They got into their bench a little bit more than we did.
A lot of times they play 7 guys.
Yeah, well, they played really 8. They played 8 guys really good minutes, whereas we played basically 5 guys all night long. Our 5 starters each had over 30 minutes, all 33 minutes in here. The leader off the bench is Garrison Brooks at 11 minutes, and he's kind of a non-factor. It was just we got out of our game. We let them kind of dictate everything, especially in the second half, and it is what it is.
To the casual fan, which is what I am when it comes to this rivalry, to me, I would think just looking at it on paper, it sort of looks like 2 pretty evenly matched teams that both won their home game.
And that's, you got a point.
That's
fair.
Going into the main reason I picked Duke the first time because I knew you would pick North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
This time I really thought Duke was going to win because you had won the first one. It was in Durham. It just seemed that easy to me.
All right, well, we'll finish this up by me coming at you with this. We're up 10 at halftime.
Right.
All right. That team, we've established that Duke is not the typical Duke team.
No.
From behind the arc.
But again,
right?
you're not either.
Well, but listen to me. They're not the typical Duke team from behind the arc. They don't have the firepower from out there that they usually have.
They are an inside team.
It took them shooting 60-some-odd% in the second half to beat us.
Right.
What do you think the odds are that you're going to get another half where they shoot 65%?
Probably next to nothing.
Thank you. So you had Bagley stepping into a 3, Wendell Carter stepping into a 3 from the top of the key. Duvall hit some big shots. Once that ball starts rolling downhill, sometimes there's nothing you can do to stop it, and that's what happened in the second half. So I guess
my question is,
I'm not too worried about it. The only thing that stinks is that somehow because of that we lost every single tiebreaker and wound up playing at 9:30 every night this week.
You're right, but even with what you're saying, if you look at the score, 74 points is not.
It's not a ton.
It's not a ton to overcome. To me, the story of the game is what you just said. This right here. Just brick, 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 brick. 64 points isn't going to be Duke ever.
Barry 0 for 7. Cameron Johnson 4 for 12.
But it's curious because I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, last week's show, 65 points is the number you used.
That's what I told you. I said, if you can get to 65, you've got a chance.
And so Duke was 9 points better than that. Yeah, and it just, I always love to look at those shot charts because, in the first game,
you don't want to see the shot.
Yeah,
shot
and a lot of empty blue circles on your side.
Empty blue circles, man. Look at that.
But in the first game against them, you guys nailed a lot of threes.
Well, we got to the basket a lot. Second half, it was a lot.
Well, I remember the shot chart. Everything was either outside the arc or under the basket, and that was it. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. The zone to me is one of those things. If it is giving an offense trouble, sometimes it's really hard to get that turned around during a game. Mm. If you don't come out with the right, rhythm to play against it, a lot of coaches, most coaches. I mean, I know what Frank typically does is he'll just throw it at you like rock paper scissors,
and that's why
it'll come every now and then.
That's the way I like to play. I think just
when everyone's going on a run, you throw the zone up and kind of give them something to think about.
Well, going to 1-3-1 back in I think it was 2012. Kansas going to that 1-3-1 in the Elite Eight with about 6 minutes to go, threw us for a loop and cost us a Final Four trip. So it's if you throw it in there, I don't like playing it exclusively, but like you said, if you throw it in there just as a change of pace, I think it can do the trick. But
all right, well, you sort of already played your hand on this, but. As far as the ACC tournament, which, as we've said at the beginning, is already underway, you guys play at 9:30 tonight, 9 o'clock? We play at 9:30.
Well, it says 9 o'clock, but it's going to be 9:30.
Yeah.
It's going to be 9:30.
Either way, man, though, look at it. Don't be grumpy, man. Don't be grumpy.
I'm not grumpy today. I'm going to be grumpy at 5 o'clock in the morning when I have to get up. But
yeah, well, but it's game day, man. Enjoy it. You got a game tonight. Basketball's fun to watch.
Yeah, looking around the ACC right now, you saw Louisville get the win earlier today over Florida State. So they'll take on Virginia at noon tomorrow. Boston College just now knocks off NC State, so they will play Clemson and BC. In the bottom half of the bracket,
that's Duke, a win for Clemson right there.
Yeah. Don't be so sure.
I'm just saying, this
is a Boston College team that went 0-16 or 18 2 years ago. They were winless in the conference 2 years ago. Now they're knocking on the door to 20 wins. Man,
I don't mean that's a win for Clemson in that they're going to win the game. I think they would rather have BC than NC State.
Duke, they are in the bottom half of the bracket. The Virginia Tech and Notre Dame will play tonight at 7. The Blue Devils will get the winner of that one, and the Miami Hurricanes, they are the 3 seed since. By way of our egg that was laid in Cameron this past weekend. So we are the 6. We'll play Syracuse tonight. BG of these, I guess, remaining 8 teams or however many I just named. I'm not very good at math. Which one of these teams do you think could be a sleeper team, or do you see a sleeper team out there? Is this going to be a heavyweight bracket, you think, without revealing your winner?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a heavyweight bracket.
Going to be a heavyweight bracket.
I think that the ACC tournament this year, I mean, I won't say it's chalk, but when you have North Carolina in as a 6th seed,
that's tough, man.
Yeah,
that's tough.
That's what I'm saying.
If I'm going to pick a sleeper, NC State would have been one that I could have seen going on a run, but I'm going to go with the team that would need 5 in 5 days, and I don't think that they will win it. But I think Notre Dame is a team
they don't have to win it to go on a run. They could win 3 games.
Well, if they win tonight, and I guarantee you Duke would much rather play Virginia Tech, 1, for the revenge factor, with the Hokies just beating them, 2.
Oh, sure.
Notre Dame has given Duke fits the last few years. Now, I know that they beat them in the title game last year, but I think I underestimated the condition in which Bonzie Colson would come back in, because once he came back,
right?
He immediately came back and gave you 24 and 12.
Well, no, we basically talked about that a month ago and said their season was over when he went down. And the thing is, sort of like what I said about Kentucky, I think about 3 or 4 shows ago. Notre Dame, okay, this is a team that's underperformed, right? They've had a disappointing season.
Well, but if you look at it, on the other hand, they won 6 ball games in the toughest 6 or 8 ball games in the toughest conference in America without one of the top 10 players in the country.
Right. But what I was going to say is that's not even this time of year when the tournament starts and they've got everything to play for. The fact that they had a disappointing season can't even work to their advantage if they get the right mindset. I'm with you. I don't think they're going to go on a run, so I didn't pick them. I think you're going to have a really predictable championship game.
I think they're going to beat Virginia Tech tonight, and I think they're going to give Duke at the very least all they want on Thursday night. The Irish, Mike Bray, he's won this thing before. He got to the title game last year. Probably one of the most underrated programs in the country. This was a top 10 team early in the year.
Yeah.
They're going to be a load. Going over to the SEC tournament. Like we said, you guys play tonight. You're the 11th seed taking on Ole Miss. We got Texas A&M and Alabama in the 8-9 matchup tomorrow. Missouri getting the winner of Georgia and Vanderbilt tomorrow afternoon. Mississippi State and LSU in a rematch. And then Arkansas will get the winner of you guys, the top 4 seeds. Auburn 1, Tennessee 2, Florida 3, and Kentucky 4. BG, how do you see this one shaking out?
I mean, that's to me, that's 2 winnable games for South Carolina. Not will win, winnable. But that's it. That I think 2 wins is the ceiling for South Carolina. The team I'm keeping an eye on in this thing is Kentucky.
All right, well, we'll start with you. We'll start with you, Gamecocks.
Okay.
All right, get Ole Miss, the worst team, one of the worst teams in the league.
Yeah,
they beat you early, but
right.
Yeah, that was a lifetime ago in college basketball terms.
It was at home for us. I mean, it was a. It was at home. You're right. It was. And it was a really empty gym. I remember watching that game, and
So that one should be a win. Then you get Arkansas. Arkansas, you never really know what you're going to get, but if you get the win against Arkansas, then you get Florida. You beat Florida?
Yes.
Yeah, you beat Florida. You beat them last year in the tournament. I mean, it's a familiar team. You play them a ton all the time. You play them 2 or 3 times a year. It seems like. I mean, South Carolina has not played terrible the last few weeks. It seems like, what would you say the last time they really got blown out was? I mean, it's been several weeks.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
I think Texas A&M, probably the last team that really put it to us.
Yeah. But even sandwiched around Texas A&M without pulling up their schedule, I mean, you had close losses to Tennessee.
Yeah.
You beat Auburn, and then you lost another close one. You went down to Mississippi State, which is a tough place to play, and blew a double-digit lead. If you guys could figure out how to finish ball games instead of blowing second-half leads,
well, you know what,
you guys would be somewhere in the middle of the conference right now.
What often
having
happens
a different conversation.
is that Chris Silva's got 4 fouls late in the game.
I thought he had
That's
overcome
why
that.
we don't finish games, and we don't have consistent free throw shooters. And Frank Booker started to get into foul trouble the past few games. But, no, you're right. I mean,
I thought he had overcome that foul stuff.
Historically speaking, though, I mean, when's the last time South Carolina did anything at the SEC tournament? I mean, not recently. Even last year's team did nothing. They were a Final Four team. They couldn't win a game in the SEC tournament. I mean, it just
didn't you guys get to the semifinals a couple years ago?
I think it was longer than 2.
What am I thinking? It's like 1999?
Probably. Probably more like 2009, 2010. We are, historically speaking, our baseball and our basketball teams, even when they are national championship contenders, quote unquote, don't do anything at their respective tournaments.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right, well, I picked Notre Dame as a sleeper team in the ACC. BG, have you got a potential sleeper on the SEC front?
Yeah, and I said it a few minutes ago. Kentucky. We talked about this a few weeks back. Kentucky, to me, is the last team in the conference I want to play in this tournament because they're a prideful bunch. They've obviously been playing better. It's a one and you're gone game. they'll have a ton of fans there. I keep calling it that same thing, that puncher's chance. This is a sort of dangerous left-handed fighter with nothing but one good left hook that'll put you to the mat, and you just better stay away from it. This is a team that can go on a run and beat anybody in the SEC.
Yeah, I guess my sleeper team would be Texas A&M. They're in that 8-9 matchup with Alabama, who's, in my opinion, they're the perennial underachiever. They are the definition of an NIT team.
Well,
in my opinion,
moved past the idea that Alabama and Georgia
right.
are going to do something under their current regimes.
But A&M, they got off to a slow start in conference play. Were they 0-5 or something like that? They rallied. They've got still got the big man down low. Still got Robert Williams. They've started to play well. They seem to be safely in the tournament. I think A&M could go on a run here, and I think Auburn. That's one team that as a top seed, you definitely don't want to have to play in your first game of a conference tournament. Do you agree?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Auburn. I don't know. I'm not sold on them. I mean, the SEC is a better basketball league than it was a few years back. Well, but it's still the SEC.
That bar is pretty low.
It's still pretty low,
right.
and so I don't think Auburn is going to be a team that makes a lot of noise in the tournament. I could be wrong. The big tournament, I mean.
Yeah.
They'll probably win a couple in this tournament, but I don't see Auburn causing a lot of noise on the national levels. It wouldn't be surprising me to not see them in the finals of this.
Yeah. Well, speaking of big tournaments, we'll talk about the little tournament for a minute. You guys got to the big stage last year, took advantage of it.
Yeah.
I can't find it now, but I did find one NIT.
Had us at a 5 seed, I believe.
Had you as a 5 seed going out to Stanford in the first round. I think I think that they should make the NIT. I think if you got a winning record,
it's not going to hurt to win a couple.
Well, their conference. It's not like their conference record is 3-13. I mean,
right.
They're 7-11 in the conference. Got you guys. It has you guys in the NIT. BG, after last year going to the Final Four, I know a couple years ago you guys went to the NIT, and I was pretty critical of your fans because they just didn't show up. What do you think that, as a Gamecock fan, what do you think an NIT bid? How would that be received based on what you guys did last year, and then coming back to the pack, so to speak, this year?
Now, and I'm going to make this convoluted argument. You've heard me make this before, and I think you think I'm crazy when I say this.
Well, I think you're crazy when you say a lot of things, but I'm willing to listen. I
actually had a moment like that with you earlier in this show. Most schools...
Never happens.
Most schools are a type of... Clemson is a football school.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
North Carolina is a basketball school.
Right.
Kentucky is a basketball school. I'm getting a call from a salesperson. I should take it live on the air. It's probably...
Well, if only we had our setup that we were able to take calls, it might be a little more.
It would be a lot of fun, man. We hopefully it'll happen because I get those
eventually.
calls all the time. South Carolina is not any of those things. Now, if I had to pick one, I'd say most South Carolina fans care more about football than the other two sports. But at South Carolina, there is this, I don't know what the word is, intertwined relationship between the sports. And this time of year, what happened with the baseball team losing to Clemson for the third year in a row, I'm telling you, it dampens people's enthusiasm for the NIT. That might sound crazy, but if we had beaten Clemson in baseball on Sunday and won that series, there would have been 5,000 more fans in an NIT game than there will be now. If we make it back home.
Well, there's no guarantee that you would come home. I'm just saying in general, how do you think?
I don't think that the average South Carolina fan.
Because here's my theory on that kind of stuff. If you've got a team coming into the year with high expectations, or like you guys did a couple years ago, where you got up into the top 20 before you kind of hit the rocks and slid back down, where the pandemonium around the team was starting to peak and then slowly waned back off, that by the time you hit the NIT, everybody is sitting around going, we should have been in the NCAA tournament, blah, blah, blah.
Well, I mean, I think this year,
team
no one thinks that.
Exactly. No one expected another Final Four run or another big run like you had last year. Everybody kind of felt like this was going to be a rough year. And if you wind up in the NIT, in my opinion, that's a win. That is a heck of a coaching job by Frank Martin, given what he's lost.
Well, and that's
kind of the other off-the-court stuff surrounding the team. If he gets his team into the NIT, that's a heck of a job. And the fans should support that.
People, we've talked about this, man. Like, you can make the argument that, and we're going to get into Mark Kingston a little bit later, but Mark Kingston inherited a baseball team that was in a cultural funk. Will Muschamp inherited a football team that just simply lacked talent. I told you, they didn't send they didn't even have anybody at their pro day last year. They were running 6-second 40-yard dashes. And it's Steve Spurrier and his son. Great coach, terrible recruiter there at the end, just no effort. All right. Those situations pale in comparison to what Frank Martin inherited. Frank Martin not only inherited no talent, he inherited a minefield where the mines had been deliberately set by the classless chump that had been his predecessor. Okay?
Yeah, but
this guy...
Aren't we past that, though?
No, but what I'm saying is, then that leaves you... Yes, we are. But I don't think he has still built the kind of depth that lets you lose a guy like P.J. Dozier and then have your up-and-coming point guard decide, I'm going to lay in a parking lot and shoot BBs at people's cars while they drive by, and I'm going to have to kick this dude off the team for the year. Okay? They're not in that position. So you're right. That's a roundabout way of saying you're absolutely right. If they make the NIT, and especially if they make some noise at the NIT, yes, it's a hell of a job by Frank Martin. Clap him on the back. That being said, if everyone's eligible next year and our transfer goes through and he's eligible and Felder's on the court, then I think we need to get back into the big dance.
I think you should be back in the dance because I've told you before. To me, it's not that hard to get in.
But it is in South Carolina, man.
It shouldn't be that hard.
It shouldn't be. You're right.
It's not that hard to get in. All right, moving on. The other big news in the basketball world this week, BG, Adam Silver. We talked about it last week. Yes. He's always looking for new ways to do things, different ways, better ways. Well, one thing that he's
not his haircut. He's kept that pretty consistent.
Well, at some point you really run out of options.
That's
I think
true.
Adam Silver's there as far as that's concerned. But one thing that he's getting ready to tackle, we've called for it. The one and done rule, it appears to be on its way out. LeBron James' love child, Brian Windhorst, LeBron James' stalker, however you want to refer to him.
He's definitely not his love child.
Yeah,
that would be Jimmy Butler and Michael Jordan you're thinking about.
Wendy.
Don't do that, man. Don't call him that.
What?
He's a big fat guy. That's terrible.
Big fat Wendy broke the news this week that changes are coming. Adam Silver wants to get back into the high school gyms that David Stern so badly wanted them out of. What do you think about some of the proposals and things that are getting tossed out there about how to go about ending this?
I mean, I favor, honestly, now look, I think what you have to do is you have to come down on one side or the other. We're either going to do what football does and we're going to make them stay for 3 years, or we're not going to make them just straight out of high school.
Well, that's
and I'm fine in basketball with straight out of high school, and the different, because it's not going to happen all that often. Okay?
Yeah.
Sean Kemp, LeBron James, they don't come out of high schools every day. All right. Now, you're still going to have one and dones, though.
Look,
you're still going to have them, because if you let them come straight out of high school, then how are you going? You can't.
All right, listen. You know what the average salary is in the D League? It's between $19,000 and $26,000.
Okay.
That's not. I mean, let's face it. That's not a livable salary.
No.
All right. One of the things that Silver is in this proposal from Wendy that's being reported is he wants to get back in the gyms and back in the high schools. He wants to get to working with these kids whenever they're 15, 16, and start them on a path. I guess basically starting them kind of on an NBA path as opposed to on a college path. Well, they would work with them on things like nutrition and things like how to handle money and how to deal with agents and that kind of thing. Open up that path into the G League. Basically let them make money playing basketball.
And the idea is that those would only be the 9 to 12 players
it would
a year.
be open. I mean, it would be open to everyone. I think eventually you would have. I think you would eventually have 30 to 50 kids a year taking advantage of this. I mean, if you go back and
Does
look,
that concern you as a college basketball fan?
No.
Okay.
No, not really, because Clay Travis he had a good point on this a few days ago talking about it. As a college basketball fan, I root for North Carolina.
Right.
Buddy roots for Duke. I mean, we're going to root.
And you're all playing on the same field.
Right. I mean, we're rooting for laundry. You root for laundry more in college than you do in the NFL.
Oh, no question.
And so to me, it doesn't matter if you take the top 30 players coming out of high school.
You took them from everybody.
Then you're taking them from everybody, and you're all going to be playing the same game. I mean, it's not like one's going to be head and shoulders above the other.
Well, I guess I would use the argument of women's basketball. I mean, obviously, women's basketball is huge at South Carolina because they win, and South Carolina's that desperate for a winning team. But people will make the argument that women's basketball is not as popular because the women aren't as athletic. It's not as dynamic to watch. Yeah. Do you think that a risk?
Well, that and you already know what the end result is going to be. You're just going to be laid on a platter for Connecticut at the end of the year. I mean,
I'm not sure that your men's team wants to play Connecticut 10, man. I don't know. I would like. I mean, I keep saying that ball movement's man. Open shit.
I guess some of the problems that I see, you're gonna have guys who are, I guess, adults. You're gonna have adults that are in this thing for themselves. They're not gonna have the kids' best interest in mind. So, I guess when you start having these folks flood high school gyms again, you're putting them around kids. You're not talking about young men ready to make decisions. I mean, if you're talking about getting them involved with 15-year-old kids, I think that's a little much. One concern was, well, would you have kids potentially drop out of school to kind of get on this NBA path? And I thought, right. He's got a good argument, but did Bryce Harper do my counter to that would be, didn't Bryce Harper do the exact same thing? He dropped out of high school. He got his GED so that he could enroll in a junior college for a year so that he could enter the baseball draft like a year or 2 years earlier than he would have been otherwise.
I've just never understood what the thing about sports is. Okay? Like, why? I think back in the summer I used welding as an example. Like, you come out of high school and you're a really good welder. And you want to go someplace and weld, but they say, look, man, we would love to have you, but what we need you to do is go to a college, and we need you to weld for free and let people watch you weld, and then you can come weld for us. I get it in the NFL, man. An 18-year-old kid in the NFL going to die.
Yeah, you're not physically ready to participate in a professional football game at 18.
But I love it. We were talking about this off the show the other day. I continue to be stunned at how different basketball and baseball are. I mean, baseball is a sport where you can injure yourself. You're gonna, if you're a pitcher, you're going to play a 162 game schedule. You're going to pitch every 5 days. Mm-hmm. In the minors, you're going to ride a bus. If anything, a minor league baseball player, man, you should probably have to be 30 to handle that lifestyle. Well, some of the places they go and stay, I know what happens in those motels. You don't need to be 18 years old, but everybody's fine with that.
Well, why is it then?
But in basketball, no.
That's what I was getting ready to say. Why is it in basketball? We're perfectly fine with the 18-year-old outfielder going, I'm ready to play professional baseball, and We applaud him, and he becomes a town hero from wherever little town he's at. Oh, that Johnny, man, he's making us proud.
Yes, it makes no sense.
Yeah, but we're making the basketball player do something that he clearly doesn't want to do.
I'll answer that for you. There is not that much money in college baseball.
So
the TV deals aren't there.
Why.
Well,
so that's you think that's why we're baseball players or golfers or tennis players.
Do you have another theory?
I don't know. I don't really know an answer for it. When was the last time you saw a professional tennis player when they come on TV go, he had a great 4-year career at Wichita State?
The only other thing I can think of is that, and a lot of what goes on in baseball is still, let's be honest, a remnant of systems that were set up in the 30s and 40s when baseball ruled everything. My mom was not a sports fan. My mom was born in the 1930s. She grew up on what amounted to like a sharecropper's farm, okay? All right. Her dad, my grandfather, drove up from another county into Spartanburg here to watch, I believe she said the name of the team at that time was the Spartanburg Peaches at Duncan Park, because they just loved going to baseball games. It was sort of an agrarian kind of sport. You didn't need to know what was going on to have fun there. It was accessible. I think some of it is still that teams cling to their minor league systems because the towns that control them are still kind of fond of having them.
Yeah.
Basketball, for whatever reason, and certainly not football, that system never even got set up. I also think you could make the
setting it
argument,
up now. They're working on setting it up now.
And it would be great. It would be great.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm with you, but I do think you're wrong. I think college basketball takes a little bit of a hit if that happens. I think the level of play,
Well, all right. Well, look, you say hit. People like me are going to watch college basketball regardless.
If there are robots playing.
Right, well, we're going to watch college basketball no matter who's playing.
Right.
The people that don't watch college basketball until right now, they're not going to watch college basketball until right now. I don't think it really changes much.
Well, no, I don't mean from a fan interest standpoint. I just think the level of basketball probably drops. So that's all I mean.
So what do you think a best case proposal for a one and done rule looks like? Because I heard, you always hear if they go to college, they should have to stay for 3 years. Well, like baseball does is what everyone says. But then don't you kind of run the risk of becoming college baseball where,
Again, though, we're doing things, and I don't know what it is about people with sports and money, and people hold these kids to standards they don't hold any other students to.
You're right. And I'm guilty of that. I'm just now coming around to you know what, man, let the kid go to high school. And this was all done because NBA owners the NBA teams wanted this. They didn't want 17 and 18-year-old kids with no life experience, no idea how to handle money or pressure or anything like that. It's basically put in there to protect them from themselves.
Right.
And so now they want to go back to it, but I think now they're doing it a little smarter. They've seen both sides of it, so they're going to work instead of just taking the kid right out of Smith High School and putting him right in the starting five of the New York Knicks in Madison Square Garden.
Right.
They're going to ease them into it. So
you remember back in the summer, I think I had a proposal I sort of came up with that colleges should have a professional sports major. Right?
Yeah.
In other words, you and this just seems like the other side of that coin, right? This is a professional sports major, except it's not out of college, it's in the professional organization. All right. And what I love is that when I say that to people, they immediately are like, "What are you talking about?
That's a terrible
That's
idea.
ridiculous." I'm like, "Well, you okay." And I've said all this before, but it was on another platform, so here we go. You've got kids all over the United States.
You got 30 seconds.
Becoming lawyers, businessmen,
right.
All these things for the express purpose of making a corporation money. There is no difference.
Yeah.
None.
Right. Changes are coming. I'm glad for them. That's hour 1 in the books. Hour 2 coming up. We'll look at the NFL. A few franchise tags have been handed out. We'll take a look at that. The Reedy River rivalry took place this weekend. We'll hit
just
that up.
Just on Sunday.
And we'll make some picks.
I mean,
make a few
Saturday
basketball
Saturday
picks.
at Reedy River. The other ones were not there.
They're all. It's the whole thing is called Reedy River.
It's absurd.
Rivalry.
It's not
the whole